Hey, hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tobias, and on this channel you will get a lot of Swinglish and a lot of music talk, of course, because that's what it's all about on this channel. But before we kick things off today, I just want to say a big thank you to you who have watched my first couple of videos. Really appreciate that. And a big super thank you to you who subscribe to my channel. You're my first subscribers. I'm so thrilled about this. This is just the beginnings. And I hope you're in it for the long run, because I have a lot of Swinglish to do and a lot of music to discuss with you guys. So let's get things started. Today I wanted to talk about some of the albums that I bought over the summer leading up to today, which is the 28th of October. Can you believe it? It's already autumn. Wow. Where does time go? But anyhow, this is what I've done. I collected some, not all of the records that I bought over summer leading up to today. Just some of the highlights. And this is just to serve as a talking point between me and you watching this, because this is what I want to do. I don't want to showcase just, oh, this is what I bought and this is what I bought. I want to give some of my opinions on them. Perhaps it's something you never heard of, or it might be something that you also picked up. I want to hear your opinion. What did you pick up, for example, that I didn't show in this one, because I can't show every single record here. But let's kick things off with a bit of a Nordic flavor, very suiting. Something Norwegian, perhaps. a-ha. And their debut album, Hunting High and Low. I'm very surprised that I never picked up this album, especially back in the 80s, because I did pick up a lot of their maxi singles for some of the songs. And by the way, if you haven't never heard of a-ha, I don't really believe you, because surely you must have heard Take On Me, at least. The big hit single, what was it, in 1984 or 85? If you ever hear a-ha anywhere today, it's probably Take On Me, so I think you heard that one. And of course it's included on this one, along with other great songs. You got Train of Thought, for example, Hunting High and Low, what a brilliant track, The Blue Sky and The Sun Always Shines on TV, and so forth and so on. It's got all the big hits from a-ha, basically from the 80s on this one. Well, not all of them, but the essential ones. And as you can see, this one's got a bit of a strip here. Do we even call this an Obi strip? Well, it came like this because I bought it at HMV here in the UK, the big retailer. And they started something in 2021, which was called the 1921 edition, where they each year release some classic albums on mainly colored vinyl. And you get these strips to just to denote that this is that edition. So as you perhaps can see there, it came in orange vinyl, and here we have it, beautiful orange vinyl. And I'm a sucker for colored vinyls and all that, but most importantly, this sounds good. It's a really nice pressing of a-ha's debut album, Hunting High and Low. You can't go wrong with this, with Morten Harket's absolutely stunning vocals and unforgettable pop tunes. So that's something I picked up, worth mentioning this summer. Another thing really worth mentioning that I picked up this year is something originating from Italy, another reissue. And this is something that I got stuck on along with some of my friends in the mid-80s, and it's Italo Disco, or Italo Disco. In Sweden we call it Italo Disco, so that's why I'm going to call it. And this is a track that I can't remember hearing back then. We had a lot of mixtapes back then because we couldn't afford buying all the maxi singles or albums that we wanted. So we had a lot of mixtapes that we got from different sources. And Italo Disco was ruling, was a ruler for a couple of years when it comes to the mixtapes. But this was not one of the tracks I remember hearing back then. I would have remembered it when I heard it now. This is Biba or Biba. Don't know how to pronounce it. Doesn't matter really, because this is a top track called Top Model, of course. What a voice, what a track. There's a lot of things going on. Very high energy, very Italo Disco-like. Great dance track. And I just discovered this last year. by a fluke, I came across this track on some mix compilation online somewhere. I was like, what track is that? I never heard it. Can't believe I missed Bieber. But now I got it. This was released last year, but I picked it up this year, of course, from Six Records, ZYX Records, but we call them Six Records. A German label that licensed a lot of Italo disco stuff, a lot of dance music from Italy, and a lot of other dance music from across Europe, but mainly Italo disco in the 80s. And they've been re-releasing these records for a couple of years now, because on the second-hand market, the prices were ridiculous. So I think they did a really good deal here. Anyone could get their hands on these now. And this particular one's got the original track, of course, Top Model here, and what I assume was the original B-side, By Night, it's called. And on side B on this vinyl, you got Top Model, the Flemming Dahlum remix. And Flemming is a Danish DJ and producer, which has been in the forefront for years and years when it comes to Italo disco, and has a real passion for this. And he does some really, really good remixes when it comes to these reissues. Highly, highly recommend this. So if you're in the mood for some really, really good music, dance music, this is the way to go. Bieber or Bieber with Top Model. Top recommendation, absolutely. You can find it on your favorite streaming services. And another reissue that came across my path this summer was an album from 2003. And I was aware of the name, but never heard the music of this one. And the only reason I was aware of the name, because this is the younger sister of Kylie. And I'm, of course, talking about Dannii Minogue. And this is her 2003 album, Neon Nights, as you can see here, celebrating its 20th anniversary. And like I said, wasn't really aware of her music, but I do subscribe to London Records newsletters, and sometimes this summer, or earlier than that, can't remember, they sent out a newsletter saying we're re-releasing Dannii Minogue's Neon Nights. Yeah, so I was like, might as well have a listen. Never listened to her. I was blown away. A really, really good album. Really good dance album. Pop album. So I decided to pick one up. And this is, as you can see, the picture disc edition of it. You could also pick up a 7-disc CD, 7-disc expanded version of it with all the remixes you can imagine and all those great stuff. I think there's some videos on it as well. They also had a standard 2-disc edition of a CD and a couple of things on vinyl as well. But I opted in for this one. It's called the official bootleg edition. And what does that mean? Well, back in 2003, the big fad back then was the mashup. Where you took one artist's popular song and mashed it up with another popular song by another artist. It's still a thing going on, but back then it was big. It was a new thing going on. So what I assume happened, and I should have read up on this before this video, but I haven't, so I just have to wing it here. Someone, a DJ most likely, did a couple of mashups of Danny's material from this records. With other artists, and of course they were never cleared copyright wise or all of that, but now when they re-released this one, they were so popular, so we have to include them, so they are now officially released. And the tracks in question are two of them. On I Begin to Spin Me Around, they mashed up Dannii with Dead or Alive, and of course You Spin Me Around. And another track is Don't Want to Lose This Groove, which is Dannii meets Madonna into the groove, of course. So they're both on here. Really, really good album, like I said, and those mashups make them even better, I would say. And this is what it looks like, the picture disc. Picture discs don't have a good reputation when it comes to sound quality. I picked up a lot of the picture discs in the 80s, and yeah, they were inferior in sound quality. But I have to say, this one actually sounds really, really good. I have nothing to compare it with, really, but you have to just take my word for it. It does sound good on really heavy, nice vinyl. And this is what it looks like on both sides. Got all the Dannies there. Yeah, appreciate a good picture disc. And I'm so glad it sounded good, because it was a bit of a shot in the dark, so to speak, to get this one. But highly recommend this one. Get your dancing shoes on and get the groove on with Danny Minogue and the 20th anniversary of Neon Nights, whatever format you chooses. Good. And with that one, a good segue would be to go to this one, because just a couple of weeks ago, Kylie released her latest album. We're of course talking about Kylie Minogue here, and the album is called Tension. And I picked this one up in HMV, and it says exclusive alternative artwork, and indeed it is, because the normal album looks like this. But does this really count? It's just like a slipcase. You put it over here, and when you slip it out, it's just a normal cover. Well, I'm not going to rant about this. I'm not going to be that old man shouting at clouds here. It is a brilliant album, and that's all that matters. Tension from Kylie Minogue. Got some really good ones. Of course, you've all been involuntarily or voluntarily bombarded with Padam Padam this summer. The big hit from Kylie. Love that song. Her latest single is on here, Tension, just like the album. And you also got some other great tracks here. One More Time, You Still Get Me High, Hands, 10 out of 10. It's another great track. All of them really good. Really good disco, dance music, pop music, all of that great stuff. And just to give you a preview, this is what it looks like when you fold it out. It's, of course, a digipack, and it comes with a small booklet as well. There you go. I got it out. Here we go. This is a booklet. Really nice there with that diamond there on the cover. And what you basically get is all the lyrics here, all the credits for the album. Not a lot of pictures here, unfortunately, but yeah, get all the lyrics so you can sing along with Kylie on her brilliant new album, which of course is called Tension. Highly recommend that. And if you're into Kylie, you know what I'm talking about. Now let's go to something completely different. Let's switch things up here with this album. This is from Stephen Mallinder. I picked this up this year. It actually came out last year, but I missed out on that one. But I'm so happy that I got my hands on this. It's called Tick, Tick, Tick from Stephen Mallinder. And if you don't know who that is, he was one part of Cabaret Voltaire. A UK-based electronic group, very big in the 80s. And if you don't know who Cabaret Voltaire is, go and have a listen to it on your favorite streaming services. Really good synth pop, experimental. It depends on which era you listen to Cabaret Voltaire. But anyhow, this is Stephen Mallinder and his solo project, and I think this is the latest one. Came out last year, like I said, and it comes in. I think the description of this one is spot on. It says Cabaret Voltaire co-founder Stephen Mallinder's recent outing further distills his signature fusion of minimal synth, oblique wordplay, and left-field disco into a riveting rhythm suite ripe for our age of escalation. Tick, tick, tick. If I wasn't familiar with Stephen Mallinder or even Cabaret Voltaire, if I read this, I would be hooked straight away. I would be, wow, I'm intrigued. What is this? Left-field disco. Yeah, you got me there. And of course, this is a brilliant album from Stephen. Have a couple of his other solo outings, and yeah, do love it. And it also says here, limited edition of 400 on a glow in vinyl, glow in the dark vinyl. Yeah, there you go. And my passion for all things colored vinyl and picture disc and all that, I went bonkers for this one. I wasn't even, when I ordered this one, it just dawned on me when I got it. It was like, yeah, of course, it was something special with it. Glow in the dark vinyl, here it is. And of course, you can't see glow, But if we're lucky enough, I've been able to put a picture here next to me with what it looks like glowing in the dark. Yeah, so here it is. Really, really nice. Highly recommend that if you want to go a bit left field. Stephen Mallinger's album Tick 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 is the way to go. Highly, highly recommend this. Now let's go to another electronic pioneer. I would say pop rock electronic pioneers, and I'm talking Devo. And this is an album I got last weekend, and as you can see, this nice gold foil that covers the front of it. I opted in for the CD on this one over the vinyl because I wanted all the tracks, and you can't get all the tracks on the vinyl edition, sadly. As you can see here on the back side of this brilliant Devo collection, there's a lot of tracks spread over 2 discs. And this one is, of course, called 50 Years of De-Evolution, 1973 to 2023. Devo. Been a big Devo fan since the mid-80s when I heard my first song with them. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And a brilliant packaging on this one. Not only the gold foil here, you got some really nice artwork here on the inside. And when you fold this one out, you got all these film strips. And we have some shots from their different videos. And out here, something popped out, and that is the booklet that you get with this one as well. A really nice booklet with a lot of publicity stills. I can't even hold it. And a lot of stills from live performances, and of course you got credits in here. You got a lot of liner notes for all of the songs. Yeah, just all around nice packaging for this Devo compilation. So if you're a Devo fan, because I have a lot of Devo records already, and I have a lot of these tracks already on other records, but just to have them compiled like this, and there's things that I never got as well, because there's some demos on here. There's different versions of some of the singles, depending on where they were released, on which label, and so forth and so on. So there's a lot of things that I still don't have as a Devo collector. And if you're new to Devo, this is a no-brainer. I think it's a good introduction to Devo, the 50 Years of De-Evolution. Really, really good. Okay, let's switch things up now and talk about some of the rockier stuff that I picked up. And you might say, wow, the pop nerd has gone totally bananas and is listening to rock, heavy metal even. Well, yeah, well, things have changed. I talked about in my first video how I was very against hard rock and heavy metal music when I grew up. And that's without actually listening to it. I just had my my conception of what that would be like, listening to hard rock and heavy metal. But yeah, things changed. I got older, and over the years I had good friends that were listening to hard rock, heavy metal, and I got to see that there was some really good melodic rock out there, things that I fell in love with, actually. So I listened to a lot of Saxon to begin with. That was my first band that I actually fell in love with, so to speak. A lot of their albums, especially the 80s album, I thought was really, really good. But that's a topic for another day. I was going to talk about what I actually picked up this year during the summer. And a band that I discovered during the pandemic from actually listening to a playlist with Saxon, I think it was. So when that ended, it just continued playing something else. And I was like, wow, what is this? It sounds really good. And it happened to be a band, another British band called UFO. And never heard of them before. I remember seeing some of the older guys when I was younger wearing the patches with the UFO and things like that. So to me it was all dangerous, of course. But UFO, yeah, brilliant band, really good tunes. And the first album I actually bought from them during the lockdown, or the pandemic as it was Fawcett by a UFO. A really good album, and from there on I just continued exploring them. And this summer I came across a secondhand CD, and it was this one. This is a later one. It's recorded in 2004 The lineup has changed by this point, the sound has changed, but I think that's just the brilliance of a lot of bands that have been going for a long time. How you can see, hear how the sound changes, and the different lineups, and how that creates different dynamics within the groups and so forth and so on. And that happened, of course, with the UFO as well at this point of 2004. They've been going for a long time. You Are Here is the name of the album, and when I first popped it in, I was a bit like, yeah, it's good. But for some reason, I kept thinking about it, and it grew in my mind. So I popped it in a second time. It grew on me even more. By the third listening, I was hooked. And this is one of my favorites so far. And yeah, I don't know what it is about it. It just grabs me. There's something about this album, and I just love the voice of it. I have to look at Phil Mogg is called. I always call him Philip, but it's Phil Mogg, and he's got a brilliant voice, a very unique voice, and yeah, this album I can highly recommend it. It's one of my favorites now. And another one that popped up in my mail just a couple of days ago, because I had it on pre-order, was this one. It's also a UFO, of course, and 1981 live concert from Chicago. It's called Making Moves in Chicago, very fittingly. It's got a lot of the classic tracks on it, of course, Dr. Doctor, Rock Bottom. It's got Making Moves on it. Lights Out, great track, and one of my favorites, Mystery Train. I do like that one. Really, really good live album released by Cleopatra Records, and actually it came to my attention through another YouTube channel. Brendan Snyder mentioned this one, and I had no clue it was coming out, so I was like, wow, have they released more live albums? And it turns out Cleopatra Records have released a bunch of these previously, and there's more coming up, so I'm really looking forward to that, and hopefully they can cover some of the later era of UFO, so you never know. Yeah, but this one really good. As you can see, Digipack, really some nice photos there of a band from that time, and yeah, some liner notes as well. Really nice, and a really good recording. Sounds really good. And let's stick with the hard rock, heavy metal. Also got this one today, actually, so it's brand new, and I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I'm still going to include it in this video because it's one of the highlights this year. Surely it must be. Had this on pre-order. It's Doro from Germany, legendary Doro, with the new album called Conquerors. Forever Strong and Proud. And this is a vinyl version, of course. As you can see up here, it comes on white and black splatter vinyl. And when I saw the preview of this one, I was like, yeah, because I was going to go for the CD version, but this one looks so good. So I'm going to open this one up later and just have a look at it. And of course, have a listen to it as well, because that's the most important thing. The new album from Doro. Perhaps I'll give that a review going forward. And now to something completely different, of course, going from all that heavy metal and hard rock to this. This is Verna Lind, and you might say, Verna who? Well, this is actually a Swedish artist that was released on a UK label back in the 1980s, and the label was called the Compact Organization. I think the biggest artist on that label was Mary Wilson. Heavily influenced by the 50s and the 60s kind of thing, that style. And Verna Lind is no exception. What she wanted to do was to combine, the easy listening or the soundtracks of the 60s and 70s and combine that with the pop aesthetics of the 1980s. And she succeeded. This is a brilliant artist. I just discovered her a couple of years ago. It's one of those artists that I wish that I discovered in the 1980s, but that's just the brilliance of music, right? We can go back and all of a sudden something pops up on your radar and you're like, what is this? And that's exactly what happened with Verna Lind. And ever since I discovered her a couple of years ago, I'm trying to collect as many records as I could by her. And this one I came across this summer. It's her first ever 7-inch that's released, Attention Stockholm. And if you can imagine, like I said, a 60s, 70s spy movie set in the French Riviera, and accompanied by the more modern sounds of some synthesizers. And Verna Lind talking over the track. She's not usually singing per se, but she's talking along with the track, both in English and Swedish. And it connects this, it creates this unique blend, and that is Verna Lind. And I was so happy to pick this up. If you never heard of Verna Lind before, I suggest you go out and have a listen to it. It's on most streaming services today. And yeah, especially if you love some easy listening and some spy soundtracks from 1960s and early 70s. And as you can see, she's ready to solve some crime in the French Riviera right here. So yeah, really, really nice. Love this one, Verna Lind. So that was a bit of a mix, right? Now we're going to mix it up even more, because I want to talk about another new album that came out this year. And it's from an artist that I first discovered in the late 90s? She lent her voice to Spillers, Groovejet. I'm talking about Sophie Ellis-Bextor, of course. Her debut album that came out just a year or a couple of years later after Groovejet was a massive success. She had a big hit with Murder on the Dance Floor, for example, and I was a big fan. A great album. But after that, for some reason, I lost my focus on Sophie's music. And since then, she released a couple more albums, of course. And this is her newest one, called Hannah. And it's the third in a trilogy, if I understand things correctly, which started with, and I could get this order wrong, Wanderlust, Familia, and now Hannah. And this is inspired by the Japanese culture, or at least her visits to Tokyo over the years. And it's a brilliant album. I'm so happy that I reconnected with Sophie Ellis-Bextor on this one. Well, I actually reconnected with her during the pandemic, or the lockdowns as we call it here in the UK, because she started out having those kitchen disco things going on, right, which got to be really huge. She did covers of other artists' songs, and she did reimagining things of her own songs. It was just great, right? This is not really the kitchen disco things that we got used to then. This is more laid back, more thoughtful, I would say, when it comes to the approach of the music. Just a beautiful album. Really nice. And some of the highlights on this one, I think, is the opening track, 1,000 Orchids. Love that track. Everything is Sweet, my favorite track on this album. Tokyo, another one. Hearing in Color. I think all of them stands out in their own way. Really nice album. I think she did great work, and she's got such a unique voice, Sophie Ellis-Bextor, so you can't really go wrong with this. I pre-ordered this one on our official shop, and when you did that, you got this color variant, which I can see now on the camera. It looks baby blue, but I promise you, it's actually marble blue vinyl. But the most important thing, it sounds really good. Really good pressing, and yeah, another recommendation for me, Sophie Ellis-Bextor. Let's round things off with this one. Eurovision, folks. It divides people. Either you love it or you hate it. I don't believe there's a real middle ground when it comes to Eurovision. But me being born and raised in Sweden, Eurovision always been close to me. Because in Sweden we take things really serious when it comes to Eurovision. We have something called Melodifestivalen, and the last 10 years it branched out to be like semi-finals, quarterfinals and all that. It's a big thing in Sweden, and I will talk about that in a later episode on this channel. Anyhow, it was held here in the UK this year on behalf of Ukraine. And the UK sent a really good artist this year, I think, with a young woman called May Muller. She's only 20 or 21, and I think she had a stunning voice. The song, even if it wasn't really anything remarkable, it was still new, it felt fresh, and of course her voice did a lot to that song as well, like I said. So yeah, I was like, wow, I really have high hopes for this one, and I wasn't alone in that. But on the final night on the Eurovision, it didn't go very well for May Muller. I think, this is just my opinion, I think the scenography was just part of it. It wasn't really right. It didn't gel really well with the song. But the big thing was the sound mixing of her song. Compared to all the other entries on that night, the mixing of that song was just abysmal. Me watching and listening through the telly on this one, just like so many others around the world, millions of us, voting based on what we hear and see on the telly. And that mix of her song, I don't know what happened, but it was subpar, is putting it politely, I would say. But I think that's where it went wrong. Anyhow, things go on. She announced that she would, just shortly after that, she announced that she would be releasing her debut album later this year. And boy, oh boy, the hate that she got from some people through social media was just astounding. It's just like, why do you do that? Why do you put such hate towards people? Oh, you lost it, and you're a traitor to our country and all that. It's just ridiculous. I'm not going to go into that. But I felt so sorry for her. So I was like, well, you know what? I heard this song that you performed on Eurovision. I wrote the song. So I'm just going to pre-order the album. I'm going to support the artist because I think she's got a fabulous voice, and I'm really looking forward to see what she could do on an whole album. So that's what I did. And just a couple of weeks ago, it turned up, and it's this one. I opted in for the vinyl. It's called Sorry I'm Late, in nice silver foil here, as you can see. And you got May Muller's name here. And the cover itself is just... it's really great, I think. It's, of course, May Muller in different incarnations here, and I think it's not a long shot for me to just speculate on this. I haven't really done a deep dive into this, but I think each and every character on this cover represents one of the songs on this one. There you go. And as you can see here as well, it's actually autographed as well. And I'm not a big autograph collector or anything like that. I think it's just a nice gesture that she said that everyone that actually pre-orders her album from her store would get it autographed. So I think it's just a nice gesture. And I would say this is a single album, but they did some really nice things with the packaging on this one. They made it into a gatefold. Looks really, really good, I think. Got all the May Mullers there around the table in a different shot. And then on the back side, we get a close-up, some spilt wine and all that. Yeah, really, really great packaging. And you also get this really, really nice booklet inside of it as well. And I do appreciate this. It's got a lot of photographs in it. You got all the lyrics, of course, to all of the songs in here. In nice big letters as well, because when you're at my age and you have to wear glasses, some of those lyrics, like the ones I showed you on the Kylie Minogue album, those are really, really hard to read. So I appreciate when you buy a vinyl that you get this big booklet with all the lyrics in it, so you can actually sing along, or at least read along with all the songs. Yeah, so a really, really nice packaging. I wish more artists would do this, because you can include a lot of pictures with that, and of course all the lyrics and credits and all of that. And by pre-ordering it on her official web shop, you also got it in clear vinyl. Yeah, there's been a lot of different vinyls on this episode, but here it is. So yeah, really, really recommend this one as well. It's not a 10 out of 10 album. I don't think so. It's just my opinion. But it is her debut album. It's just the beginnings. And I'm looking forward to hear more from May Muller, because she is a talented woman in this business. Unique voice, I think. So keep it up. I'm looking forward to even more albums from this artist. I just want to mention some of the tracks. The opening track, I Just Came to Dance. What the label says, You just want to dance to that one. I Wrote a Song, of course, is on here. Me, Myself and I is another great track. And the best track on this album, according to me, is a track called Better Days, featuring Naked. No, not Naked, as you would think. It's spelled like this. And Polo G. What a track. And I don't know who sings along with Mae Muller on this one, but if it's Naked or Polo G, I don't know. But what a voice. What a track. And it should have been at least 2 minutes longer. It's too short. It's such a great track. You know what? Make a maxi single out of this one. Wow. Yeah. No, overall, a really good album. And I know I'm not the target audience really for this. A lot of the lyrics, they are all, nearly all of them are written, both lyrics and songs by Mae Muller herself with others. And there's a lot of things when it comes to lyrics that I can't really relate to today. I could relate to them when I was at her age, but a lot of things have changed as well. So even then I couldn't really relate to it. So yeah, I'm basing this mostly on the melodies and the beats and how danceable it is. So I will leave the lyrics interpretation to other people. I'm more of a melody man myself. Well, how about that? What a mixture of music that I got over the summer and a bit into the autumn as well. A good mixture, I would say. What did you pick up and what did you think about some of these releases? I want to know all about it down in the comments. If you could get that discussion going, I would be really, really happy. I am also very, very happy that you stuck with me for another video with some music talk. I'll be back soon. And until then, folks, take care of yourself and adieu.